Okay, we're looking at bull charts here, and this is a daily chart of the All Ordinaries Index, the XAO. We can see in the top left corner here of this chart, it says XAO and a lowercase d, D for daily. This is a daily chart. Now, one of the features in bull charts is a thing called IntelliCharts, and we can check whether it's on or off and turn it on or off by going to the menu option, tools and preferences. And on the preferences dialog box, across the tabs, the second last one is IntelliCharts. Now, for a new installation of bull charts, by default, IntelliCharts is turned on. That is, that tick box is enabled. So when people get started with bull charts for the first time, it's already enabled. Exactly what does it do? And what's the difference when we then go and tick the next box? We'll come to that in a minute. First, let's talk about what IntelliCharts is. I've just enabled IntelliCharts for this chart, and what IntelliCharts does is, for instance, I can put trend lines on this chart. I can put annotations like here is a little peak. Now that might or might not be right. And when I add text, by the way, I can change the font. A number of different fonts are available, characteristics of the font or attributes and sizes. I can put that on the chart, and my default setting shows that I've got a border, and I don't have the background filled, but I can do that. That's easy to do. And that's on that particular chart. Now, if I close that chart and open it again, both that text box and this trend line, let's make it a bit thicker, will both be saved. Bull charts will remember it. So let's do a file, close that chart from the menu. Now I could look at another stock actually, a new chart. Let's look at the XJO. There's the XJO index. Now, if I change that from XJO to XAO, All Ordinaries, you'll see the text box and that line are there. Now, we're looking at a daily chart, and this toolbar that usually is docked across the top of the window, but I have it docked across the bottom because for a number of reasons I dock it at the bottom. That's how I am, funny bloke. It's currently daily. I can change that from daily to weekly chart, and you'll see that those two annotations, that text box and that trend line, are still there on the chart. And the same if I change that time period to a monthly or any other of those options. So let's go back to the IntelliCharts setting, tools, preferences, and in preferences, the IntelliCharts tab, and tick the button that says save different IntelliCharts for each time period. So let's turn that on. We're viewing a daily chart now, and for some reason I've got another trend line there. That must have been there from previously. This is a daily chart. If I switch to weekly now, watch what happens. Those items are not there. So what I can do with the weekly is do things like put a text box on the chart, a text box, and maybe a little icon. From the icon palette, I can choose a number of things like a little smiley face. And don't forget, with things like the smiley face, I can add text to it if I like, or change the style, the color, change the icon. I can change the size, make it large. This is now weekly. If I go back to daily, note whether that rectangle and the smiley face are still there or not. Daily period. That text box from the original and the trend line are there. If I switch back to weekly, daily, weekly, you'll see that the annotations say there differently. Now that's come about because behind the tools, preferences, and IntelliCharts setting, I've ticked this second box, save different IntelliCharts for each time period. So by way of demonstration, that's a bit of an explanation as to what IntelliCharts is, very briefly, and the functioning of that second box. We've been talking about IntelliCharts, and there's one extra feature, a hidden part of IntelliCharts that's worth explaining. It won't make sense to lots of users, but to some it will. And it answers the question, okay, so how does BullCharts remember that I put something like this bit of text box, and this dotted line? How does BullCharts remember I've done all these sorts of things for a given stock and not others? The short answer is BullCharts saves all of those things, information about those elements. It saves them in a text file, and it's a separate text file for each stock. Now, let's make sure that I've got IntelliCharts turned on. Tools, Preferences, IntelliCharts tab. Yes, I've got IntelliCharts on. Now, where does it go to? Well, to find out, we can go again to Tools, Preferences, and instead of going to the IntelliCharts tab, click on the last tab, Files, and notice the first entry in this list says IntelliCharts. And you can see in that box there, that's the folder path or directory path to the location on my computer's hard drive, or SSD if you've got one, to the location of where this information is stored. This view location is actually a link. I can click on view location, and what will happen is BullCharts will open up Windows Explorer, and you'll see across the top here is that folder path. It's actually specific to the logged on Windows user. You can see I've got C:\users/Robert. That's me, the user on this computer. And from then on, app data roaming bull system. What that means is that if any other person logs onto your computer, logs into Windows on your computer and starts BullCharts, they will have their own separate IntelliCharts files stored. Now, in that folder, we've got all of these files here that are stored. Note the first one is called xjo.bc. So .bc is the file type. It's a BullCharts chart sort of file, and it's for the XJO. And I've got this long list of little files. And I say little because if you have a look at them, the size column here shows that they are sorted by size. The smallest one is 47K, 47 kilobytes. This column here, date modified, that's today's date and time, 22nd of January, 9:06 p.m. The first one is XJO, the second one is XAO. So what happens is BullCharts saves a separate text file here. It's basically a text file that it can read. It's not very friendly for us to read. And if we go back to BullCharts and in the IntelliCharts settings turn on Save Different IntelliCharts for each time period, then when BullCharts saves this little text file, it saves one like this third one, XAO_weekly or _daily or monthly. So it stores a separate one, a different one again, to the XAO, which is with IntelliCharts and only the first box ticked. So BullCharts saves all the little IntelliCharts files, little descriptions of all of those elements we're adding to the chart, saves them all as text files out on your hard drive. That's the folder where they are located. You can see it's app data, roaming, bull systems, BullCharts, IntelliCharts. You can see them there and you can find them using that tab, Tools, Preferences, Files. So hopefully that's of a bit of use to some people. Thanks for listening.